It's not like the Pebble 2 was going to be the best wearable of 2016, but I might have called it the most underrated smartwatch of the year. And now that the whole family's gone down the tubes in one of the saddest buyouts of the year, it's time for a look back at one of the biggest success stories and now one of the biggest implosions in wearables. I'm Michael Fisher.
And it's Josh Vergara from Android Authority. What's going on, everybody?
And this is a special edition look at the last of the Pebbles from MrMobile
and Android Authority.
Before Josh and I get into the retrospective, a few thoughts on the Pebble 2. In short, it's way better than I expected. Much smaller and thinner than the clunky original, with trim options to let your gaudy inner geek shine through, and even a little Oreo color scheme to gussy up the otherwise pedestrian rubber wristband. This year also brings us new waterproofing, deliciously tactile buttons, and a revised vibration motor that makes notifications much more pleasant and also means you can wake up to the tap-tap of Reveille. Also included, a power cable whose magnets finally firmly hold it in place. Not that you'll need to charge more than once a week thanks to the excellent battery life. And most welcome, responsive and simple software that deftly walks the line between geek chic and too cute. I love this watch. But go ahead and throw everything I just said into past tense. Because Fitbit is buying Pebble for just enough money to cover its debts. And it's no merger of equals. While Fitbits will likely get smarter software in the coming years, the world will almost certainly never see another Pebble.
And that's kind of sad because Pebble was one of those products that you actually wanted to see succeed. A lot can be said about the company itself and how everything was handled, but for a product like this smartwatch, it thought differently from the other ones and it was still incredibly effective. I am very vocal, especially recently, about the fact that tactile input should be a hallmark of our smartwatches, mostly because touchscreens, while they work really well on smartphones, don't necessarily translate perfectly to our wrists. Swipes and taps on Android Wear tend to have a small margin of error and you could get into some trouble there. Meanwhile, the buttons on the Pebble in particular were always so reliable and got you exactly where you needed to go. Not to mention the community that Pebble garnered over its tenure. So many loyal developers came to Pebble because they felt like a group separate from those who flocked to the giant companies and their existing fan bases. Pebble stood alone, and it supported users and developers with a fervor that was palpable in the Pebble App Store and in the subreddit. And it wasn't as if Pebble was a walled garden either. It even leveraged the open nature of Android Wear, and used its backend to provide voice and canned actions used in notifications. And all of this fun was set to continue with an all-new piece of Pebble tech called the Core, the Pebble Time 2, and this, the Pebble 2.
That's not to say those products were guaranteed to be great, and even the Pebble 2 wasn't flawless. Its display lacked color, the heart rate sensor was as mediocre as most watches, and the anemic feature set was always getting criticized in the comments. But that restraint is what I loved about Pebble. It did a few core things really, really well, and left the phone calling and wristbound web features to other companies. With Pebble, you got straightforward third-party apps, fun watch faces, and rock-solid notifications, for way the hell cheaper than the big guns.
So Pebble is no more, and we're just gonna have to deal with that, at least eventually. Fitbit has said that existing Pebble devices are going to work through 2017, and I plan on wearing this proudly throughout the year. But, especially after 2017, where does that leave us with other smartwatches? Well, there are a lot of choices out there, but I do find myself, because I was a Pebble fan, looking for alternatives that have out-of-the-box thinking, especially when it comes to navigation. Fully touchscreen watches aside, there is a main player I actually really enjoy. The Samsung Gear S2 and S3. Its rotating clicky bezel is one of the most unique and still funnest ways of getting around a smartwatch today. Its third-party app support is a bit anemic compared to Android Wear, but there's plenty more that you can do with it, even take calls. The problem? Price. At $349, it is not a direct alternative to Pebble, but instead a highly premium option. More cost-effective choices could come from lesser-known companies, and one that we are currently testing is the Ticwatch 2. It isn't heavy on physical controls, but it does bring a different form of navigation. There's a touch-sensitive panel on the side that users can tickle in order to scroll up and down on the interface, and it is powered by a full version of Android. Our full review of the Ticwatch 2 is coming soon, but check that price, $179 for a display-forward smartwatch that packs all the features you'd expect.
Now, while that Ticwatch 2 looks awesome, I haven't played with it yet, so I'm gonna fall back on an old standby. Vector first caught my eye over a year ago, and it interested me mainly because it was one of the only smartwatches to work with Windows Phone. When I learned that Vector Watch's battery life was rated in weeks rather than days, and that they came in such attractive trims, I resolved to follow up with a review. But with Pebble in the picture, it was always an afterthought. Well, after a week with the Vector Luna, I'll say that it hits a lot of high notes. The always-on display is familiar, the build is better than any Pebble since the Steel, and the battery life is outrageous. Vector promises 30 days, and my colleagues at Windows Central actually got more than that. Now, it is on the pricey side. Its capabilities basically boil down to notifications and minor health tracking, but it executes on those fundamentals pretty well, just like Pebble did. The only things giving me pause are the fact that one of the band loops broke on my retail device after the first day, and the cover glass over the display is really easy to smudge and really hard to clean. The former I'm willing to write off as a one-time flaw, and the latter I'm willing to live with, provided the price eventually comes down, which it always does. It's not a 100% Pebble replacement. I don't love it, in other words. But until we get whatever we're gonna get from the new and improved Fitbit, the Vector Luna is the best I've found thus far. So Josh and I are about to hit CES 2017, where if past shows are any indication, we're probably gonna spend a ton of time together. So whether we compare our Pebble alternatives wrist to wrist, or just mourn the passing of another tech great over overpriced Vegas cocktails, you're gonna want to follow along. You can find Josh at JVTechT on his personal channels, Android Authority on his official ones, and you already know where to find me. So until next time, thanks to Joshua Vergara for joining me, thanks to Android Authority for the support, and thanks to you for watching. Happy New Year, and stay mobile, my friends.